asked, "How are you feeling today?" while I was throwing up into a plastic wash basin. I have been asked, as I was emerging from a 4-hour operation with a tube in every orifice, "How are you feeling today?" I'm waiting for the moment when someone asks me this question and I'm dead. I'm a little sorry, I'll miss that.
This is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins. The best performance by an actress this year is Off-Broadway, and it's being performed by tonight's guest. Here to introduce her, my co-host, Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
We've been big cheerleaders on this show for a terrific play called WIT down at the Union Square Theater. One of the reasons it's so good is the chief performance by Kathleen Chalfant as Vivian Bering, a college professor battling ovarian cancer. Kathleen Chalfant has been in Angels in America and a number of plays over the year, but Kathleen, this is the one, WIT, this is the role that has made you a star.
Well, I don't know that it's made me a star, but it's some part.
Well,
it certainly is.
Welcome to Theater Talk.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here.
I keep running into you at all the awards that you and WIT keep winning. Just, you know, as an actress who has been working in New York for a while, are you having a good time? Just being honored at everything?
I'm having a great time. I'm still having a little trouble believing the sentence that goes, and the nominees are Judi Dench, Zoe Wanamaker, Stockard Channing, Swoosie Kurtz, Elizabeth France, Kathleen Chalfant, and the winner is Kathleen Chalfant.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
There must be something wrong with this sentence. I keep waiting for the...
No, that's because you haven't seen your performance.
For the
that's
recount.
Why there's nothing wrong. Disappointed, though, that WIT did not get to Broadway?
Well, I don't know. We've done so well that it would be mean-spirited to say that. It would have been fun. It was fun to be on Broadway in Angels in America. It's always fun to be on Broadway. But the play, the important thing is that the play will live because of all of this. And so it's all right.
Did you imagine this? Did you imagine this when you were down at the MCC Theater?
Nor even less did I imagine it when we were at the Long Wharf in New Haven, where this production of the play started over a year ago now.
Tell us when, if you can remember, when you first got the script and you first sat down to read it and the impression it made on you.
I know exactly when I first got the script. I was in the park in Henry V, directed by Doug Hughes, who became the visionary producer of the beginning of this play. And his assistant director was Derek Anson Jones, whom I'd known from the New York Theater Workshop, Usual Suspects. And Derek gave me the play, and I read the play, and I thought that he was asking me to play the part of Professor Ashford, the part that Helen Stenborg plays, because I couldn't imagine that such a glorious part would have existed for all this time, because he told me that the play had been written then, I think 5 years before, without anyone to play it. And then I gave it to my brother, who was ill, and who was 14 years older and was my mentor, and to read, first of all, to see whether it was true about cancer.
Your brother had cancer?
My brother had cancer. And he read the play, and he said, yes, it was true about cancer. And then he said, and if anyone ever asks you to play this play, do it.
But they asked you to play
Vivian
the
Bering.
lead, not her friend, the older professor,
yes.
but Vivian Bering.
They did.
And no hesitancy at all to tackle that kind of role? I mean, just something you want to jump right into?
No, I mean, it's the kind of role you wait for all your life.
Yeah.
You've talked about the influence of your brother's death from cancer on your selecting the part, and how that hits you so close to home. The thing I wonder, as I see you do the part, is how can you, as an actress, live with this through your 24-hour day, continue, that that you're putting yourself inside this devastating situation day after day, and yet here you are. I mean, you and I both know some actors who would be so subsumed by this reality of this role, they'd be a mess all day long, leading to the performance.
I think the act of playing it is that's when I live it. I live it for whatever the hour and 40 minutes, however long it's running these days. That it's on the stage, and the last moment of the play is so triumphant that's what I leave with. So I leave with that triumphant moment, and that's what I live with for the rest of the time. And and it is it's something to do with not only my brother's death, but the death all of us are. You know, I think since the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, we know about death again.
Right. But we should say, because I think that there's still, even though the play's doing very well down there, because word of mouth has kicked in and people know it's a really great play they should see. But I think that there's this misconception that because it's about cancer, it's such a sad play. I mean, what would make playing the role fun for me every night is how smart and how funny that woman is. I mean, you know, this is not a play where everyone's crying all the time. This is a play with a brilliant woman, a brilliant professor who is sarcastic and ironic and tough and intimidating, I think, even to the audience.
Right.
You feel like you're a student in her class.
Right. It is. That's good that you said that, because it's fun to play. And it seems to be fun to watch. I've never seen it. It's so peculiar. I've never seen the play, so.
How does an audience react to this play night after night?
In this, people laugh and cry, and then they stand up at the end.
Yeah. I mean, you really hear the sniffles.
People cry a lot at the very end. There's this wonderful scene at the end of the play with Helen Stenborg, and we call Helen the cleanup hitter, but because by the time she leaves, gone.
They're flattened, yes.
And we have a lot of recidivism too. We have lots of people who come back to the play, and people who come sort of in fear and trembling, and then they think it's great, and then bring everybody they know. So it's great.
Just want to talk about acting. Can you tell us how you, sort of in a technical way, how you prepare for a part like this when you're rehearsing it, but also, you know, just before you start the play each night?
Well, it's different. Somehow after we've been doing the play for a long time now. Almost the same company too, which is great. After a while, the play gets in you. It's kept somewhere else, thank God, as you get older. It's not kept in the same place where your usual memory is. It's muscle memory and in your brain somewhere, so that you prepare for the first moment of the play, and then the rest of it unfolds after that, God willing. To play to prepare for this play, we were very lucky. We had a long rehearsal period at the Long Wharf, 6 weeks, which is a great luxury in the American theater now, when most new plays are put on after 3.5 weeks rehearsal and 3 or 4 previews. So we had the luxury of a long rehearsal period and quite a long preview period. And in that time, you do the obvious things. You learn the words so that they come easily, as Shakespeare said, off your tongue, and find out where to go. And in this case, I read a fair amount of Donne, and I read about John Donne.
Right, because she's a professor of
She's a professor of the poetry of
John
John Donne. I did some medical research, and then I got to practice at home because my brother was ill, and my brother died just about a year ago between the 2 productions, and I learned a great deal about the end of the play by living through the end of my brother's life.
Did he see the play in Longworth?
He saw it twice.
Really, he did?
Yeah, and in great mentor fashion, he came to the first public performance. He said, well, that's all right. And then at the opening, he said, it's much better, and tears were streaming down his face, and I felt okay. I thought, well, we'll be all right.
Was there any particular thing about this character, Vivian Baring, that was a particular challenge for you or difficult for you to get a handle on initially?
It's all of it difficult, because it's a beautifully written play, and the most important thing about it is to get the words in your mouth so that they come out easily, and to make sense of it, because Vivian is a person who lives in the world making sense of it, and the play is about how her way of making sense of it,
and who revels in words,
breaks down, and who revels in words. And you know what everybody always says, the laughs are the hardest part, and in rehearsal you don't know if it's funny or not, because after about 3 days everybody knows all. They don't laugh anymore. So it's a great miracle when the first audience comes and they laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talk about American plays.
I do want to talk about
We
new
were,
American life.
a few weeks ago, we had a show with Manny Azenberg and Jim Friedberg, two producers, and we were all sitting around bemoaning the lack of American plays, and you had a strong reaction to that show.
I had a very strong reaction to the show, and I actually made notes.
Good.
So before we do that, I just like
A cheat sheet like mine.
I have a cheat sheet here. I would just like to read. I have to put on my specs now. I would just like to read this list of notable and critically successful, and in their own venues, successful from the audience point of view. These plays were sold out in the last few years. American plays that either did not find any kind of commercial production, or only, in the case of the Pulitzer Prizes, all moved off-Broadway.
Because we should say that the thesis of Azenberg and Friedberg to some extent was the producers must look to London for a product that will sell on Broadway. All right, as plays.
And so these are the plays that I think of. The Dying Gaul by Craig Lucas that had 2 sold-out runs at the Vineyard Theater. The Gray Zone, which was by Tim Blake Nelson, which at MCC was sold out at MCC. It won an Obie. It won the Newsday Oppie Award. Tony Kushner's Slavs, which now everyone looks to as a wonderful and important play. Claudia Schier's Blown Sideways Through Life, which became immensely successful, but only found an off-Broadway venue. Betty's Summer Vacation this season, which
Chris Durang's new play.
Chris Durang, which is looking for a place to go and should go. Chris is an important, one of the most important American writers. The Gimmick, which Dale Orlander Smith's one-person play at the New York Theater Workshop. It is brilliantly written. It's gotten wonderful reviews, and I don't know if there's any chance of it moving anywhere. The 2.5-minute Ride at the New York Shakespeare Festival, Lisa Crone's play. 2 plays from the Worcester Group. Their wonderful riff on called Brace Up.
Stop Kiss, Diana Son.
Diana Son. House Lights this season at the Worcester Group. Dog Opera by Connie Congdon. And this season's Lips by Connie Congdon.
Well, you do get around to see everything, I must say.
And a piece, and then there's been talk that there isn't any political writing, and many of these plays are political plays. Marty Pottinger, who is a performance artist who did a wonderful piece about New York City that had a very short commercial run called City Water Tunnel Number 3, and who is now preparing a political piece about the war in Yugoslavia.
Let me just add to that 3 Days of Rain, Richard Greenberg's final.
3 Days of Rain, which has gone, and then, shall we talk about the last 4 Pulitzer Prize winning plays? Three Tall Women,
right.
How I Learned to Drive, The Young Man from Atlanta, and WIT.
Let me ask you though, if these plays are out there and you believe they're terrific plays, why do you think producers, commercial producers, won't take them anywhere?
I don't. This will probably sound naive to the commercial producers, but I think it's an opinion. I don't think it is a fact that these. I mean, WIT is an example. WIT is an example of a play that is on the surface difficult that people flock to. I Was in Angels in America. People flocked to it. It is an opinion that the audience won't come. Because the English plays that come, and this is not a thesis that there should not be English plays on Broadway, but the English plays are serious plays. I think the English writers think of them as serious plays. So it isn't true that people won't come. It's also true, it has to be remembered, that a play that has a new play that has a $4 million advance is a triumph of advertising. It's not a validation of the quality of the play. Later, when the play runs, we find out about it. So it's a matter of being willing to take the kind of chance on institutional success in the United States that people take on institutional success in England. Because all the plays that come to, by the time they get here, they're all honed.
Right.
They've been running for a year.
And they have buzz.
They've won prizes.
We've heard about them.
Buzz.
Yeah.
People know, as I said before, most of these plays were produced under the conditions that new plays come to the public in the American theater, which means you have 3 or 4, maybe if you're really lucky, 5 weeks rehearsal. You might have 2 weeks preview, depending upon the size of the subscription audience of the theater, and those plays are judged on the same scale at that moment as plays that have come that are all polished and shiny.
Yes.
And even so, they succeed. The Dying Gaul is an important play. And you couldn't get a ticket at the Vineyard.
Right.
And
but there wasn't a
Vineyard,
commercial producer who would have touched it.
and the Vineyard supported it
Yeah.
by bringing it back a second time. And that's only one example. Venus, by Susan Laurie Parks, which, I mean, I know that you're concerned about the work at the public, but Venus was an important American play. Fun to watch, scary, political, and very successful at the public, and nobody would touch it. And Angels in America, it should be remembered, had won all the big awards and all, but there was no big commercial buzz until the American press saw it in London.
So
Yes,
you talk
well-
to producers. Why won't they touch
Why?
these things?
Well, they won't, because they don't really believe, as you said, their opinion is that a play like The Dying Gaul is simply not going to appeal to a Broadway audience now. There's a feeling that the audience that goes to Broadway is now tourist-driven, and they want to see a big musical,
But
or
they
they
go
want
to
to see
see-
a London play that they've heard about. They need some sort of validation that the play is good before they spend
And they would-
$65 to
but
see
they
it.
hear about it from us.
And the producer said this cancer play would not draw, and so you were kept out of the Henry Miller Theater.
the Helen Hayes.
Helen Hayes.
Yeah, you blocked it out of your
so
mind.
that they could put in this
Right.
A show
not
that-
band in Berlin. But but again, it was because cancer play
Right.
won't sell, and here you
And
wanted
I have to say, we
surprise.
were offered a large Broadway house that was too big for
Yes,
us.
Right,
yes.
right. And you had all of your money together, too.
But
so that was good.
we could have
Yeah.
gone either place. So, it is not true that all the producers won't take a chance. But I think that this isn't a matter of malice. I really think it's a matter of opinion, and it's an important cultural issue. Because what it means is one whole arm or leg or appendage of American culture
Is being ignored?
Is not being seen at the highest level, is not going into the popular consciousness. This isn't true of American opera, American ballet. People would never think of saying that of American symphonic music. People come to the American symphonies. It is, in a way, as though at the opera you only did contemporary Italian operas, which isn't what happens. And I think, as I said before, I think it's an opinion. I think people go to Closer, a very difficult play.
Good play, yeah. It's a good play, though, I think.
Good
a difficult play, yes.
but a difficult play. So if the argument is,
Right.
I think it's bad to make an argument about the audience. The audience goes to see what's good.
Right. Well, and as in the case of WIT.
And
There's an
WIT,
economic
Angels
issue,
in
though,
America,
too.
Closer.
Yeah, I mean, producers if you're going to do a play, it's going to cost you $1.5 million. They want to do something that they are damn sure is going to be a hit, and the way to do that right now is to take the thing that's already hit in London and bring it here.
But it's just, in a way, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Right.
because the way you tell people that it was a hit in London is to take out those, as they said, $75,000
Yeah, I look at the weird.
in the New York Times.
Right.
So if, for instance, you took out a $75,000 ad in the New York Times that repeated the reviews for The Gray Zone, would you not have been able to sell The Gray Zone? That repeated the reviews for The Dying Gaul, that repeated Dale's reviews for The Gimmick. I think that the initial selling, I mean, after that, the play's on its own.
Right.
People will come or not come.
It's just not these plays are not getting the launch that they would get
I
on
think
Broadway.
that.
Yeah.
And
But we should say, though, not to be all doom and gloom here, I mean, there are some producers, like your producer, Daryl Roth,
Absolutely.
and Chase Mishkin, who's funded a number of the Martin McDonough plays, Joan Stein, who's doing Sideman. There seems to be an interesting sort of core of women producers who are interested in these plays. I mean, Daryl did Paula Vogel's How I Learned to Drive. She did WIT, and she did 3 Tall Women.
and Snakebit.
And Snake Pit. I mean, is there something that women, maybe these plays appeal to women producers in a way they don't
Well, and also
appeal to
these
men
You
producers?
have to, that may be true. You have to. I have to say, in defense of male producers, that all the other producers of WIT
right. Well, that's true.
are
yes.
men.
But
brave
it was Daryl
men who run institutional
right,
theaters.
right. But Daryl was the commercial producer who put that money on the table.
I think Daryl is invaluable off Broadway, and making, you know, she's on her third Pulitzer Prize, third and a half, and she supports these plays.
Yeah. Just want to bring it back to WIT. What's the future of WIT now? I mean, it's safely ensconced at the Union Square, but there's going to be a tour, I believe.
Yes, I think we have an embarrassment of riches, not only in the astounding WIT company, because everybody must know that there are 9 people in the company of WIT, and it is the best company in the theater right now.
If you do say so yourself.
I do say so myself. It's wonderful. But so there's that wonderful company. We're happily ensconced at the Union Square. The producers say we'll be there for a while. There is a tour which is certainly going to Los Angeles, and then there's talk of it going other places. I don't know that that's set. There's much talk about going to London, which would be grand.
And you would go to London? You would go to Los Angeles?
I would walk across the Atlantic Ocean. If they'll have me. I mean, you know, there's always the exchange issue.
I think.
Whether they'll have, and it would be wonderful if we could all go, if they could have the whole company. And then the foreign rights to WIT are being licensed. It's in Madrid, Finland, Japan, I believe. There's much Italian talk. It's going. Jean Moreau came to see the play.
Oh, really?
So it's going to France.
And don't you wish you could go to all of these?
It would be great. We could have a travel package, you know, following WIT.
And of course, you know, we're big fans here of Maggie Edson, who wrote the play. A really very smart, interesting woman. When she was on this show a few months ago, she said she didn't know if she would ever write a play again.
Are you writing something new now?
No.
No.
Will you? I mean, are you now going to give up kindergarten teaching and become a professional playwright?
No.
That's not what you want to...
No.
No.
It's just this came out of you this came out of you, and now you're done. And
Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Really? You're not going to, you know, you're now a great American playwright. You're not going to join the ranks of Edward Albee and Eugene O'Neill. But you really don't want to go back to, you know, write another play now. This is just what you had to say, and that's...
Yeah, if I have something else to say in 10 years, I'll say it. But
you get more plays to direct before the next one, Derek.
No, and it's very funny when we talk about it, because Derek says, well, we might move the play, and it might move to this theater and that theater. And I say, I've got a government job. I don't care what you do.
I hope that you're all encouraging her
We
to
are all
write the play.
encouraging her. And her high school prom date, Derek Anson Jones,
The director.
astounding director, is pushing harder than anybody. I don't know. You know Maggie. If she has something to say, she'll say it.
And she'll do whatever she damn well pleases
certainly
to
will.
do. So, well, listen, you give a terrific, terrific performance in WIT at the Union Square Theater. Kathleen Chalfant, who we've seen in many other plays, always giving first-rate performances, but this one, this character, Vivian Berrien, is really, really great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being our guest tonight on Theater Talk.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
so, Michael, this is our last episode of the season.
Yes, we're off for the summer.
Yes.
I'm off to Israel for a little trip and to play some golf and some tennis. But we are coming back on PBS in the fall with
in October. On a whole new night that has
yet to be determined, but we will.
We're
we'll
not going to be
back
on Fridays anymore because they're putting sessions in this slot. So this is a good time to ask Channel 13 when Theater Talk will be on in October. But we're told it will be, and we thank you for your support. So.
We've had a good time this season. We've had a lot of laughs, sometimes at other people's expense, but we hope the theater people don't take us too seriously. We speak passionately about the theater because we love the theater.
And we speak for ourselves. All right.
And we speak for we are independent voices.
Okay, so we'll see you next time on Theater Talk. And now I want to close with the same musical that we opened our season with, a very important musical and one that has broken many records at the Richard Rodgers Theater this season. Yes, we are saying goodbye with Footloose. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Friedrich Loewe Foundation, the Harburg Foundation, and public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
Playbill Online is the official website of Theater Talk and the home of the Playbill Club, providing exciting opportunities for theater lovers. We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.